Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry gamers.
Hello, and welcome, boys and girls, to the 159th episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are powered by 8bit.net and Audio Technica. I'm your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere at Brendan8bit. And on today's episode, we have a menu chock full of gaming goodness. We'll be talking Steve's Solitude, the Nintendo Switch Lite, Medan, mobile gaming, Facebook and VR, plus lots more. Now, before we kick things off, I need to introduce my two esteemed co-hosts. They are both allegedly in the running to star as Boy George in his upcoming biopic. You can find them at Miss Ali Hart and at Salim TD collectively. Miss Ali Hart, Salim the Dream, welcome back to the Hungry HQ. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am battling the man flu for what feels like the 25th time this year. I'm doing okay, but my voice is a bit raspy, and apologies in advance, listeners, if you do hear me coughing up phlegm or just coughing in general. I'll do my best to edit that out, but just a heads up, the man is sick.
You're going to get that ASMR quality.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing like a loogie in the back of the throat, guys.
I thought about doing it right then on the microphone just to sort of set the tone early, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to be like that. No. I'm going to respect our listeners' ears and stomachs. We're just going to talk about gaming. Dream, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm super good.
We missed you last week.
I missed you. I missed Ali.
Oh.
I missed my microphone. I missed the audience. I missed the listeners.
So much so.
Just got to give you a little hat tip that to you for debuting the first episode of sort of our little fun size series.
Thank you very much.
Our sort of episode after the episode, as you would, 158.5. You were on fire for about 15 minutes straight there. It was beautiful.
Thank you very much, my good friend. It turns out if you just talk to yourself long enough, you end up just talking absolute nonsense. I really hope the Winter Fest goes well this weekend. The Winter Festival that they have going on in Canberra. No, where is it? Canberra? I don't know.
There was one in Canberra, and it would be very cold down there right now. So rug up, Canberrans.
Rolling around in all of that like metal as well. Fun fact, they wear a lot of like linen and wool under metal when they went into battle in the medieval times in very cold areas. So hopefully our Canberran friends take that one, take that to the bank, get money out and go and buy some wool shit to put under your metal.
And then after this Winterfest, head on over to Kingsley's Chicken, get yourself a fillet burger with gravy and coleslaw, and the best crinkle cut chips and gravy in the land. That's my PSA.
That's your all right. Cool. We're going to talk about it again this week because it's actually this weekend. So I'll be sure to mention Kingsley's Chicken or what is it? Kingsley's Chicken.
Kingsley's Chicken. Mm-hmm. You could mention Chicken Gourmet as well. There is quite the amount of chicken delicacies down in the nation's capital, so I'll give you a long list if you like.
As well as porn and fireworks.
Yes, can confirm. I know the good locations for both of those as well. So let's see what the next fun size episode brings. But I wanted to ask yourselves this, as far as our quick question this week. This, as we've seen this past week, Nintendo have announced the new Nintendo Switch Lite. I wanted to get your feelings on the new stripped back Switch console. Give me some hot takes. And then we're going to jump to a couple of our listeners and friends' opinions that we've sort of grabbed from our Discord chats as well.
I'm seeing very consistent opinions that match with mine, which I kind of established last week, which was, although my Switch console is always on portable, I never really dock the thing, but size is important. And that screen is smaller. So my old ass eyes need a bigger screen. So I don't really see the benefit for me. So I'm happy with my Switch. I don't think I'm going to buy an additional Switch Lite. But I see the positive in it. I do see the positive in it for like people with like young kids and stuff.
What about you, Dreamer?
Yeah, I agree that I think it's positive for young kids. I think that this is actually reasonably priced console at $330 with the guts of the Nintendo Switch in it. What you're sacrificing is you're losing an inch on the screen and the detachable controllers and also the docking. So I can see that that's not necessarily great. I think what makes the Switch so good is that it is versatile and it can be a handheld, but that's totally optional. $330 for a handheld console isn't completely outrageous when you consider how much a Nintendo 3DS costs right up until the launch of the Nintendo Switch and even shortly after. And those pricks sold the chargers separately for those things. It didn't come in the box. So I think when you round up, it's still not too bad. I love the color. I do like the colors that these little things have come out in. The yellow is my favorite.
You like the yellow? I like the turquoise.
Like the yellow. I like the turquoise too, though. Don't get me wrong. I think that they're really, really cool. But I think if you're going to buy a Switch, you might as well just go the whole way and buy a Switch rather than a slightly cheaper imitation of it. Unless you're a parent and you don't want your kid to be taking up all that precious TV time.
That's true, actually.
Yeah, like it's interesting, like sort of looking into some of our Discord back and forth, there is very similar notes. Like the consistencies I'm seeing here is too small and overpriced, which is our boy Benny feels that way. I mirror that statement, so does Jono, where the full-size Switch goes for around $399, and this is at $329. I don't think there's a big enough gap to justify.
The Switch is $450.
It'll be $399 soon enough. You wait. But either way,
not until I don't think for a while.
We only deal in facts here.
Yeah,
I live in the hypothetical realm, all right. But I just think
I feel like you're just misrepresenting Nintendo. Sorry to railroad you.
I just think that for the functionalities you're losing, like the fact that you can't dock this thing, fair enough. Okay, they want to make this solely focused on the portability and the handheld aspect, but then the lack of detachable Joy-Con, so you can't even do like local 2-player on this thing standalone. I think it really hamstrings some of the beauty of the Switch. Like, remember way back when we were playing this thing at RTX Sydney many, many moons ago, and the joys of doing local battles with the little mini Joy-Cons in your hands with friends, whether it be 2-player, 3-player, 4-player. I think that was like one of the most beautiful things about this console, and to strip it back in that regard, it's like, I don't know, it sort of misses the mark for me. But like looking at what some of the other guys here, like Cruzy said he'd buy one for his little guy, which is, I think, where this console is certainly trying to position itself towards, where, as you said, Dream, it's the 3DS replacement. It's aimed at that younger target market where you don't have to worry about Joy-Cons detaching and potentially getting damaged. You've still got the TV to watch your sport and whatever else while your kids can play this on the couch or the bedroom. But yeah, the lack of docking is a bit strange to me. The individual play is great, but yeah, the multiplayer aspect getting hamstring. Like Jamie, who is at JDP Card 18, he's sort of highlighted pretty well. The form factor is really good. Not being able to dock is a shame, as this was the whole point of the original Switch. The original Switch should be heavily discounted here in Australia, hence my thought process of jumping the gun at $399. But yeah, if you want to do multiplayer, you're going to have to buy some other other controllers, or go the separate Switch route. So it's interesting. It's sort of dividing the audience, I think. If you got kids, happy days, this will be great. Good for car trips. Like Tillhouse has said, his kid will love it for car trips. I'll love it for bumming around on the couch or on plane trips. And I've still got the OG Switch that I will use for docking. All in all, I think it's great. However, the introductory price point is a bit steep, all things considered. So, it's a niche, I think, targeted at kids. It's still going to sell like bonkers. Like, it's coming out perfectly in time for when Pokemon Sword and Shield drop, with its own limited edition Sword and Shield skinned version, which looks really nice, mind you. But, I don't know. Like, I like it and I like the colorway, but I don't think I'm rushing out to buy one at launch.
I'm very curious how they're going to fix marketing, because a friend of mine brought this up, where a lot of the games demonstrate detachable Joy-Cons. And an unfamiliar parent might, buy their child the game and stuff, and then see that they're instructing people to detach the things that are on the side. So I look forward to seeing some disasters that might come from that. Everyone's probably like, come on, people aren't that stupid, but hey, They could be.
They could be that stupid.
They could be. The possibilities are endless. But yeah, I feel sorry for a lot of retailers as well with the me going back to when I used to work at a retailer that sold gaming consoles, specifically the DSs, having multi different colored options and then having the right one in stock and everything. Ugh, my heart's out to all you retailers.
All those SKUs.
Of a pain. Oh, it's a pain in the butt. We don't have the turquoise one or the yellow one, but we have the other one. I don't want that one. Well, bully. So, good luck with it.
But we'll see. Like, comes out in sort of September. What date in September? The 20th, if I recall, which is around bang on the money with Pokemon Sword and Shield. So they're going to move these units like there's no tomorrow, that's for sure. And it's probably going to be one of the biggest sellers for the Christmas market, I think. Like, Rach and I even sort of talked about maybe upgrading Archer from his DS to a Switch for Christmas. And this thing is priced reasonably well. I think it should be a little bit cheaper for what you lose. But yeah, it's a good segue into more serious gaming from a DS perspective. So we'll see what happens. So I ask you this now. What have you guys been playing, doing, seeing, eating, drinking? What's been happening this past week? Tell me the things. Dream, maybe you lead us off because it's been a hot minute since we've had you here chatting the video games.
Yeah, sure. What was I playing? What did I play last night? I was playing all tactics games. Strategy games.
Yes, and you're still doing a bit of that, I see.
Well, guess what? Yeah. This wasn't... I'm certainly not trying to keep a theme alive, but I just love strategy games. I love tactics games. So I ended up picking up XCOM 2 while it was on sale on Steam in the last week. And I haven't actually put too much time into XCOM 2. Partly because my initial impressions aren't amazing, but I feel like I've done that to myself more than the game has done that to me. So XCOM 2 came out in 2016, developed by Firaxis Games and Feral Interactive. It's a turn-based tactical RPG, as you probably would have guessed from the intro there. I've got it on PC. My early impressions are basically, it seems cool. It's this interesting story. I imagine it takes place immediately after XCOM 1. The aliens have invaded Earth, they've taken over, and you're part of a sort of resistance movement to fight them off and reclaim the planet. Now, it is a cool little sci-fi world. You yourself play a commander. You're an actual character, and you're sort of set up and presented in a way similar to like what Master Chief set up as in the Halo games, where it's you just seeing out of the perspective of the character of the commander, and everyone's just talking to you as though you're that person. You basically are just guiding the armies around. It's a tactics game, so like I probably described 2 weeks ago, if you're not familiar, you're moving pieces around a map, and your goal is basically to eliminate the other pieces. I found this game so difficult. I stupidly, with like hubris, the stupid hubris that is in my heart, thinking that I can take on any challenge. No mountain is too high for me. That I could take this game on its second hardest setting. And it took me an hour and a half to clear the first map. The first map being probably a 20-minute map. It was just fucking tough. And when I did clear it, I lost 3 of my 4 guys. Permadeath. Done. Gone. Oof. So I had to go back to the drawing board and recruit a few newbies. Not like a big loss at the start because they're obviously not too powerful at the moment, but I was getting attached to them. I had 2 Australians in the squad.
Imagine that happening like via 10 missions deep or something where they're leveled up and they become part of a little core platoon and then see you later.
Oh yeah, exactly. So I think I need to swallow my pride a bit and go back in and play it at a slightly easier setting. The one thing that gets my goat every time I have played this game is that there's an accuracy rating. So these players, these characters, because the terrain you're playing in, it's just, it's all sorts of shit. A lot of the time you're in some kind of cityscape. And so there's cars, there's buildings, there's places to hide behind, and cover is a very big thing. But sometimes you're standing like 5 feet away from the guy and your gun, you're holding a gun and you'll get your guy to shoot. Accuracy is like 76%, it will tell you, and then it will miss in like maybe the most comical way possible, where you could not be not aiming harder if you tried. Like your character will almost like turn the gun to the complete, like 3 people to the left and fire. And it fucking gets me every time I see it. I just want to throw my PC into the monitor and yell something. I don't know. It shits me. It's kind of annoying, but some positives. It does play quite well for the other mechanics. Like the cover thing's really cool. Hiding behind various terrain. You can either be half cover or full cover. There's an ambush mechanic in there too, so that if all of your characters are completely hidden, you get bonuses to your attack on the enemy. You can set up different stances so that, for instance, if you decide not to take like an action with your character, you can set it to, I think it's called Watcher. And basically, as soon as you see an enemy unit, that unit will fire. So it allows some interaction during your opponent's turn as well. I really need to put more time into this game. I need to give it a fair chance. But at the moment, like somewhere between the difficulty setting and that accuracy thing. And also, I'm not going to lie, like I'm not a sci-fi guy. It's hard for me to get into like sci-fi games and fucking post-apocalypse games. Like those are my 2 least favorite settings for a story. It just doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't move the dial for me so much. So I will give it more of a chance. I'll talk a bit more about it next week, and then it will go to the back of the Steam library where it will stay for a very, very, very long time.
You know what's funny?
Back of the line.
I'm very familiar with this game because I don't know how many times I've been sent a picture where a friend has played it and then said, "Oh, I made you a soldier in my game." I'm like, "What?" So you can apparently customize your soldiers, put names to them and everything like that. So
yeah. It rolls a bunch of traits and it will give you a bunch of traits starting off. So they're fully formed characters on their own. They're not like characters that interact in the story, but just, you know, soldiers. Yeah. But yeah, you change everything, their name, their nationality, their voice option. By the way, the Australian voice option sounds exactly like what an American thinks an Australian's voice sounds like in the 90s.
Oh, no.
Like, yeah. So,
suck on that can of Foster's, you alien dog.
Yeah, pretty much.
Put another shrimp on that, Barbie.
I'm just going to take my jacket off because I feel like I've been rustling like crazy. Sorry.
Well, I just want to let everyone know that my most common character or position that I've held has been a sniper. So I'm going to put that in the back of my mind in case of an alien invasion.
Well, I'm going to put that in the back of my XCOM formation, Ali. You can be the sniper.
Thank you.
That's all right. You're welcome. The other game I've been playing, the other game I have a lot more positive things to say as well about is Path of Exile, which, holy moly. So this is not a new game. Came out in 2013, developed by Grinding Gear Games. It's a action role-playing sort of hack and slash. This game resembles Diablo 2 more than Diablo 3 does, without a fucking doubt. And I loved Diablo 2. It's one of the touchstones for me when I think about gaming throughout my lifetime. I have so many fond memories playing that game with friends. And there's so much I really enjoyed about Diablo 2. And so when I picked up Path of Exile, and I've heard this before as well, that Path of Exile is almost like a true successor to the Diablo 2 game, I was actually just blown away. It's almost like Diablo 2 updated and improved. So many mechanics are the same. It's crazy, dude. But so many mechanics are the same. The world, the setting, the tone of the world is similar. It's super dark fantasy.
What class did you roll?
I rolled a witch, which is a really cool class. I've been reading a little bit about the different classes. Apparently, the witch is a little bit easier compared to some of the other classes, which I'll believe, because I'm having a nice easy old time getting through the maps. But I'm level 25, so I'm putting in the work here. It's just really cool. I'm on Act 2 at the moment. It's hard to describe it without referring to Diablo 2. Some of the things that are a little bit different to Diablo 2. So if you just imagine Diablo 2 and then these things are different. The skills in the game, the abilities, are tied to gems, which are socketed into your equipment. So if you think about Final Fantasy VII and the materia system, it works exactly the same way. You upgrade your abilities that are stored in these gems, and then you equip these gems to your equipment so that your character can actually use them. You don't unlock them on a skill tree the way you would in traditional role-playing games. The other thing that just kind of blows my mind in this game is the passive skill tree. So in addition to those gems, there is still a passive skill tree where you're unlocking passive abilities to increase your stats or to give yourself other perks and buffs. And this thing is huge.
1,325.
You just
passive
Googled that?
Abilities. Yeah, I just saw it just then. I'm like, holy shit.
I was just going to say 1,325. That's what I was going to say. Thanks, Brennan. No, it's and
that's
like not
you didn't
to
name me a character in XCOM 2, you bastard.
I'll make you my cannon fodder, bitch.
I was one of them ones that died in Act 1. I'm dead already. I was in Act 1. I'm cooked.
So not to like throw another Final Fantasy reference in there, but if you played Final Fantasy X, the sphere grid map, it's basically the same thing. It's presented the same way. You don't need to have like specific orbs to unlock things. It's just every level you get to move around on the map one more. But it's just so much fun, and I'm having so much fun playing the Witch. This Witch character, the class, I've got like a lot of AoE debuffs and damage over time abilities that I just use. I'm running around basically. I'll drop this little AoE thing. Everything starts to slowly die, and I'll just be like running in a circle. Just running in a circle around. Yeah, basically.
Are you playing on PC?
I am, yeah. I'm playing on Steam. It's also on PlayStation and Xbox. It's also on Mac and Linux, believe it or not. Linux, yeah. If they don't have Apple, tell them we use PC. And if they have PC, tell them we use Linux. And if they have that too, tell them the systems are down. Dave Chappelle Show. One of the best skits ever about cut and copy or some shit. Some copy joint plays. Anyway, I love this game. And Ali, I really want you to play this game because you love Diablo 3. And I'm not trying to take away from Diablo 3 or say this is better or worse. I just think that this game resembles Diablo 2 so much that if there's anything in that game that you love, then you should play this game because I think you will really enjoy it too.
Yeah, your messaging during the week has maybe slightly convinced me.
Ooh.
But I'll have to have a little bit more of a look at it because I didn't mind Diablo, like the most recent Diablo game. Like,
well you've got that 3. On every platform known to man.
Yeah, I think I don't mind the most recent Diablo game is maybe the understatement of the year. If you have it 4 times on 4 consoles or whatever the stat is for you.
Yeah, Xbox, PC, and Switch. I think
3.
is the numbers.
What was I going to say?
Sorry.
Diablo 3 is very different to Diablo 2 though in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Whereas this is almost like it's like an expansion of Diablo 2.
Yeah. Like I said,
really,
I'll have a look at it.
It's really uncanny.
I will have a look at it. I've got so many games to play, so
let me hit you with one last little thing about it. Totally free to play. Microtransactions, sure, but totally free to play.
I don't appreciate that that's a winning point to win me over, suggesting that I am some kind of tight ass. You're right, but still.
No. It's almost like it's you're not investing anything into it, so you can kind of go in and get a freebie out of this game. If you like it, that's great. If you don't, you didn't spend any money. Yeah, but I feel like you'll know pretty quickly. You'll know early on if you like it or not.
No.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right,
we will
Ali.
see.
Okay, Ali. You're going to play it. You're going to talk about it next week. Talk about it. Anyway, that's me. That's what I played this week. Brendan, what did you do, buddy?
I've been roaming around the Elder Scrolls Online universe some more. Similar to you with Path of Exile, we've just crossed the level 25 threshold in ESO.
What's the level cap with Elsewhere?
It's ridiculous now. Like, it used to go to sort of like champion ranks, like you'd get to say level 60 and then you could reset and be veteran ranks, sorry, not champion ranks, and you could sort of cycle that through. But now,
oh wow,
I think they've gone away with that because I see dudes rolling around at like level 810. Like,
yeah, okay.
It is bananas. I don't know how the leveling system works for endgame and those types of numbers if it's based off like a gear score or something. But there is quite the disparity between the low levels and then these guys in the several hundreds. But finished the mainline Elsewhere DLC that came out the past couple of weeks. So the one that reintroduced dragons and brought out the Necromancer class. So finished the mainline story in that. Really, really good. My little Nightblade is getting there. Still a bit of a glass cannon. Obviously playing as sort of that rogue class. And then Rach is sort of a DPS Templar. So we don't really have much tanking with the current builds we got. So it is very high risk, high reward. And we accidentally rolled into a couple of public instances and dungeons this week. And trying to two-man that with no tank or no healer led to some pretty spicy exchanges. I had a couple of sort of, bleed abilities where I could sort of siphon health from enemies. But yeah, once my stam dropped, I was fucked. Like I was running around, similar to what you were saying. I was running around like kiting these enemies, but just trying to survive, not to, get them into a trap. I was just running around like there was no tomorrow. So really enjoying it though. Like I'm enjoying getting back into an MMO. And then the other game that we talked about last week is I did a singular sitting of Sea of Solitude last Sunday. So booted up, took me about 4 hours to finish from front to back. It's the new game released through Jomei Games and then published via EA as part of their sort of, indie-based focus, like when they released Faye and a few other games through this sort of, indie program that they have. And my goodness, this game, it hits you. Like it is quite an emotional journey. Like it's only, as I said, it's only 4 hours or so, give or take. Can be a bit longer depending on if you wanted to sort of explore off the beaten track. But playing as this young woman named Kay, waking up in this sort of, sinking or submerged city with all these giant monsters facing you at every turn. It's pretty intense. Like the control structure is pretty simple. You're running around, you've got a jump button, and you've got a button that can sort of ignite a flare, and that flare can act as a guide. Like it'll sort of head towards the direction of your next sort of main focal point on the level. There's 11 chapters to go through, or it can be used to keep a lot of the enemies, because it is very much a play on dark and light, very, very sort of heavily emphasized in that mental health space. So using the light to get rid of these enemies in the darkness and things like that. And then you've got a backpack on your back where you are trying to take away the corrupted in this sort of Berlin-esque world. And then I guess that's a nice metaphor where you're carrying all this sort of, mental anguish on your back in this backpack as you're carrying it through this world. It's very multi-layered. Like it goes into bullying, relationship breakups, broken families, all this. So you're seeing various members of your world portrayed as, I guess, their darker selves, like their emotional arcs or the poison in them then's conveyed in this big giant black sea creature that sort of haunts your way. So it's pretty heavy. Like it's really heavy. Like there's a few parts where you're obviously on this journey of this woman named Kay, but there's things in there that I think are probably just about everybody could relate to from at least once in their life that they've gone through, whether it be a breakup, whether it be, bullying at school, whether it be family and friend breakdowns, things like that. Like it's pretty heavy and it's really well executed. Like some of the voice acting's a little bit on the nose, but that's probably the only major gripe I've got with it. Like Cornelia Geppert, who's the creative director, she voices Kay, and her sort of German to English can get a little bit lost with sort of some real touching moments. Like there's not a massive emotional delivery in some of the scripting that she's reading out. So there's a few moments where I'm like, it's a little bit, but overall, it's really, really well done. Really, really enjoyed my time with it. Ali, you said you had a couple of questions last week when we were recording. Did you want to crack out a few of them, or what do you reckon?
Well, my biggest concern was about how much interaction is it with the deep water, because I have a thing about water and like creatures coming from down the depths below. Yeah, like I couldn't see if Thieves was like too much for me. Like jumping in that water and being chased by a shark, like gave me so much anxiety.
You've got some serious kaiju trauma.
Yep. So you've got like a little sort of dinghy boat that you traverse the seas with, but there is parts where you'll be on land and you'll have to sort of jump in the water, time it, because there is these obviously circling dark sea creatures of doom that want to drag you down to the depths, metaphorically and physically. So you've got to really time these sort of short swims where you are in the open sea, and then you've got to, jump onto the next bit of sort of land or floating buildings. So there is a few parts where you can get chomped up and taken under by this dark depression metaphor. So yeah, there is some parts there you probably might get a little bit uneasy.
Yeah, see, that's what's probably gonna be very difficult for me to play. And like I said, any game where it's like going into the depths of the ocean, don't know why, big fear of it. Couldn't even play Subnautica for it.
Yeah, so it's really good. Like, it's $30, I think, brand new, or if you're part of sort of the EA Access based platforms, you can get it substantially cheaper on there as well. But yeah, this EA Originals program, I think it adds a lot of benefit to budding indies that trying to get that extra exposure and get that potential leg up. Like Jomei Studios, they're a pretty small team, and to get the exposure and the publishing rights of EA behind them is going to really bode well for this. And it's reviewing really well. Like, I think it's getting 7.5 to 8 to 8.5 depending on the outlet. So it's reviewing well. It does hit some nerves, as I said. Like, it does sort of stir up the emotions, but overall, I really enjoyed my time with it and sort of took a bit away from what they're trying to achieve here.
I noticed that actually a lot of, especially with these like indie games that come out, there is a lot of focus on being like mentally challenging and draining. Like, they definitely focus on stories that are very heavy, and I feel like those are the ones that usually have quite the impact because they are hitting a nerve with like whoever plays with it. Like,
yeah, like the most recent ones that at least I've played through, obviously I mentioned Hellblade last week, and the other one that sort of came to mind when I was playing this is sort of That Dragon Cancer.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah.
They were the two games I sort of felt most similar to during my experience of this, where you're not obviously not doing a huge amount in this world, you're just sort of platforming a little bit, shooting off your flare, and that's sort of the main sort of complexities of the game itself. But yeah, the story is where you're going to take a lot away from it, and yeah, it hits home. It definitely hits home.
Even Observation that I played, like, that really challenged you, like, especially with the feeling of like isolation and then trust, and so, and just confined spaces. Like, I definitely think that had a massive impact on, I guess, the enjoyment, the interactive nature of that game. So I just think it's pretty interesting that these indie games, these small developers are able to get that feeling across.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a testament to everyone at Jomei Games, and nice work with EA with their EA Originals offering. But that's me this week. What about you, Miss Hart? What you been doing?
Okay, so I was lucky enough. Devolver Digital got me a copy of The Messenger, which is a action platform video game. They're actually releasing a free DLC called Picnic Panic. So if you already own The Messenger, then that free DLC should be available for you, I believe, on the Switch. I'm not too sure because it's recently been dropped on the PlayStation as well, I think this year in March. So the developer is Sabotage Studios, but Devolver Digital is doing the publishing, and this game is lots of fun. It's inspired by Ninja Gaiden series, it's very self-aware. So what I always love in a game is when they kind of not make fun of, but like kind of take little jabs. So even when you go into like the little shopkeep, like even he's like very aware and making comments, and you find like specific relics and you're like, what was that? And it's like, oh, the thing that you just smashed without even checking. Yeah, that's probably some powerful thing that you need. So I love how aware and all the little tongue-in-cheek comments that are in this game. But the other cool thing is that it actually separates from the past into like 8-bit quality graphics, and then turns to the future of 16-bit graphics, and the music changes as well. So and in regards to gameplay, I actually found it the perfect amount of challenging. I'm slowly trying to get into these platform games that like I also want to try Hollow Knight that everyone kind of raves about. So I'm trying to get into these games. They're not my type of game, but as I'm using the Switch more, I'm finding that these are the most suitable games to play on the Switch. So The Messenger is absolutely perfect. I'm really, really enjoying it. it's like I said, the difficulty level is pretty decent. I don't think you can actually change it. I don't think it has that option, but it does have also a little nod to people who either want to collect, you know, all the gems, or if you're more of a person that likes to find secret areas as well. And there's also just like a leveling skill tree as well in there, so you can put your gems towards that. So
the music and the soundtrack on this is pretty tight.
It is.
I've heard a few tracks on through YouTube views and reviews I've seen on it, and it's got a nice crunchy sort of soundtrack that fits the pacing really well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's another one that's won a bucket load of awards when it came out, and it's really well reviewed and really, really well received. So it's something that's been on my radar for a while, but I haven't really jumped in, because I'm sort of similar to you. Like, I don't mind the action platform genre, but yeah, I just don't really give it enough time. And it's something I know I need to do.
That's the thing, is that I definitely believe that there's like a group of people where this is definitely their thing. For me, to say that I have to kind of push myself into playing these games is a discredit to actually how good they are. It's just not my type of thing. I am finding myself slowly getting to accustom and enjoying them and seeing what the enjoyment level is. The only problem is that, I guess, let's just call it childhood trauma from the whole fact of you dying and having to either go back to the start or to the last save point is destroying me. I've experienced it with Cuphead. I have now experienced it with this game. And I have like a low threshold when it comes to patience when it comes to that. So, but this one's kept me playing. I don't know what the element is that keeps me playing when I have to deal with that, but this one has actually kept me playing. So consider that as a good review, and I'm looking forward to continuing on and then jumping on to the new free DLC. So,
which is pretty cool, because this was the first game that Sabotage Studio released. Ooh. So it's a testament to them to sort of stick the landing on their debut game release, and I'll have to give it a look. On the Switch, I think would be perfect. Maybe on a Switch Lite in September, who knows?
Well, yeah. So it actually released end of last year, August, I believe, end of last year on the Switch. So I think this is also a good way for a developer to breathe life back into their title, even if it is offering free DLC. It can, put you back in the charts and get you relevant as well, so you can get new players, especially in a bit of a damp area, I guess, when it comes to Nintendo Switch titles.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I also got to play Red Dead Redemption online poker, since everyone else decided to play it without me. No, it sucks for time difference, but I get it. I get why it's fun. I actually had a lot of beginner's luck. I still don't know how to play poker, but I won several rounds. So nice. Yeah, that's a positive. And I completely forgot how awesome the Red Dead Redemption 2 landscape is. Like how amazing it is, and how like vast it is. Because I jumped on a train and just like rode the train across all the different landscapes, and was just sitting there admiring it. I'm like, I feel like this like online game should be just a little bit more. I have to get back into it. And I want to let everyone know that Senran Kagura did release a game called Peach Ball.
Was that on the Switch too, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I was going to ask you about this, Ali. I wanted to know if you picked it up.
I didn't play it because, as far as I'm aware, is that you only get like selected pinball layouts. It's the girls that change. And although I'm sure that is a winning quality, I was kind of hoping you would get multiple like pinball like game mats and then just interchange the girls in between. But at this stage, I'm not actually going to invest money into it because I think it's a bit expensive for what they're offering. So this is definitely going to be on the wish list kind of thing. So in case anyone was curious.
Okay.
Because I know you all were.
I was curious. I wanted to know. I still haven't played a Senran Kagura game.
You're supposed to.
I feel like I should.
Give it time.
Be fun.
All right, a quick bit of housekeeping before we start moving into some news headlines. The Comedy Rewind is officially upon us. I wanted to say a big thank you to all our Patreon members for your constant support, because without you all, we wouldn't have been able to get this exciting new nostalgia-laden podcast off the ground. John O'Peck is going to be helming this bad boy, and he's extremely excited to debut an episode in the coming weeks. So the Comedy Rewind is going to be in your ears imminently. But for those that aren't supporting us, feel free to dip into those pockets and throw a little bit of loose change our way. Patreon.com/we are8bit to get you exclusive access to podcast, merch, and swag you cannot find anywhere else in the world. But if you can't sort of support us financially, please be sure to rate, review, subscribe this podcast as well as all the other podcasts on the hashtag 8bit Collective, because it helps keep those emotional lights on in our hearts. And speaking of reviews,
iTunes Review of the Week.
this one, another tasty 5-star gem coming to us via way of Nobu of the Games Sushi podcast, which is a fantastic little Aussie outlet doing some really good stuff. Regularly live streaming their podcast on Facebook. So be sure to check out the Game Sushi podcast on Facebook and jump into one of their live streams of the podcast. They also do all their Let's Plays and just general streaming in general through there. So the podcast headline reads, "Not only a great podcast, but really approachable too." And the review itself reads, "The one gaming podcast I look forward to listening to every week. Brendan, Ali, and Dream have great chemistry and are passionate about everything gaming and geek culture while both keeping it serious and funny at the same time. They are very approachable on both social media and on Discord, with Brendan even taking time to give me tips on how to better my podcast. I have much respect for them all being able to balance work life, real life, and all the while keeping the quality of their podcast to a high standard. Much love to you all from Nobu of Games Sushi Podcast."
Aww.
Thank you for the absolute emotionally tear-jerking perfect review. It really warms the heart when we get stuff like this in our way. And as I said, Nobu and Game Sushi, they are doing some good work. So be sure to take some time to hunt them down on Facebook Live or even hunt them down on your podcast platform of choice and get behind the content they're doing. But what do you guys think of that review? Isn't it just perfect?
That's so lovely. I'm glad that we actually do balance that serious and fun side. I always hope that comes across, as I always feel like I'm the immature one. So thank you. I actually do appreciate that little nod.
I think we're all pretty immature. All three of us share the reins of our immaturity pretty well, I think.
Yes, the Hungry Gamer HQ is actually just in a gutter. You know.
Yeah, beside a ball pit.
Yeah.
In 3 separate gutters in 3 separate locations in the world.
Yeah.
Gutters worldwide.
But that's, a lovely review either way. Thank you so much for taking the time for that.
Yeah,
I do
thank you.
appreciate it.
It's really sweet.
Yeah, those reviews, as I said, they mean the world to us and also other podcasters out there. So when you're done reviewing The Hungry Gamers, be sure to review all those other podcasts you are listening to on the weekly, because it helps, it keeps us tracking, keeps us relevant. As I said, keeps those emotional lights on in our hearts. But let's jump into some news.
This week's news headlines.
And the first bit of news, online co-op and local multiplayer modes announced for the Dark Pictures Man of Medan. This comes via way of Ian Higton at Eurogamer. Supermassive Games has announced 2 new multiplayer modes for Man of Medan, the first horror game from its upcoming Dark Pictures anthology. Players can still experience the game in solo mode, similar to the way Until Dawn worked, but those wishing to scream their way through the game with friends can do so online in shared story mode or on a sofa in movie night mode. Shared story mode allows 2 players to experience the story side by side in online co-op, with each player given control of a different character, and at certain points in the game, the story will branch off, giving each player a different perspective of the events. Movie night mode is a pass-the-pad local co-op mode for up to 5 players. At the start of each game, players assign themselves a character, or multiple characters if fewer than 5 people are playing, and then the game will tell you when it's each person's go. At the end of each chapter, the game dishes out awards to each player to give them some fun reflections on how they played. Awards can range from something simple like who was the fastest on QuickTime events, or who was the slowest at making decisions, to something more sinister like did their actions get someone killed. Crossplay is not supported for Man of Medan multiplayer, so any shared story sessions will need to be platform specific. The Dark Pictures anthology, Man of Medan, releases on 30th of August, and Supermassive Games has said it's planning to release 2 games from the anthology per year. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm hyped as all hell for this. Until Dawn is one of my favorite games of all time. The Inpatient, their foray into VR was absolute dumpster fire, so I'm excited to see if they can go back to the goodness of Until Dawn, and it sounds like they're going to try and capture some of that initial magic with Man of Medan, but being able to play online co-op or local 5-player co-op, I think is fantastic. What do you guys reckon of this?
I was actually very curious how this is going to work, but then after watching the video, the online co-op sounds amazing, and it also sounds great for Twitch streaming as well. So having like what you're doing and knowing that your friend or whoever on the other side is making their own decisions as well, and just how that will impact you, it's very clever. I didn't expect them to actually bring a multiplayer element, but it's pretty smart.
What about you, Dreamo?
I have not many horses in the race here for this game. I haven't played Until Dawn. I have had every intention of playing Until Dawn, but I've heard that it's better to do kind of local with some friends, and I just don't have any friends. This sounds cool. This sounds really cool, and it does sound like a lot like Until Dawn, or at least as far as I understand it. But I need to look at this a bit more, if I'm being honest. I would like to play it, and I think that it does sound like it would lend itself well to online multiplayer. Could you do online multiplayer in Until Dawn, Brendan?
No. It is a single player experience. So
right.
This is their first foray into playing with 2 to 5 players.
What had been suggested to me about Until Dawn is that every time the character switches, you hand the controller over to a friend.
That's a good way to do it, because there is, 8 characters in Until Dawn, if I remember right. So there is some good experiences there you could have.
And and the idea is that you're all, even though it's single player, you're all experiencing your own version of the story yourselves. And it's a relatively short game as well, right?
Yeah. You can clock it within 4 to 5 hours, I think. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I really want to play. I think that's on sale separately at the moment. I might try and get that game just to see what's going on. Did you get it for free? Because it's been on the PS Plus deals several times. Yeah. So hopefully you were lucky enough to hit that download on it when it was free. But otherwise, I think you can get it on sale now for less than $20. Yeah, and dude, I can't recommend it highly enough. Something else that I cannot recommend highly enough on the back of this little tweet that snuck out. The Mortal Kombat movie reboot is R-rated and has fatalities. Yes! In a post on Twitter, Mortal Kombat screenwriter Greg Russo announced the news, reinforcing what other members of the film's team has been discussing online. In quotes, MK will be R-rated, Russo said, and for the first time ever, fatalities will finally be on the big screen. Finally! End quote.
Wow. Finally! Why wouldn't you make this movie an R-rated movie? I would have been so angry if it wasn't. We have the ability, to do R-rated movies now. Like, it's Mortal Kombat, so I'm relieved. If anyone can't tell, I'm actually really happy about this news.
Yeah, well, like surprisingly happy. Why?
Well, okay, look, I do love the first Mortal Kombat movie for all its cheesiness, but
it will be nothing like that, though. I
am not suggesting that it is. Yeah. What I'm now saying is, I guess, when that came out, I was some, awkward teenager or whatever. So now I'm an adult and I actually want the gory movie because I know it's a possibility. I know the audience is out there. So it's more of a case of if they denied it, I'll be like, but why? Why wouldn't you? It's the whole theme. It's the whole thing about Mortal Kombat. It's a
the
gory
basis
fucking
of Mortal
game.
Kombat, yeah.
Exactly. So why wouldn't you make a gory fucking movie?
What do you think the odds are that Ronda Rousey is going to play Sonya Blade in this live action remake or reboot?
Pretty high.
Yeah, I'd put it at
pretty fucking high.
5-1.
Yeah, she's not even doing anything lately, is she?
Nah, she's off having kids, allegedly. So she's taken a step away from WWE and is trying to have a kid with it's a partner's name, Travis Brown, the other MMA fighter.
Don't know, dude. Don't know.
But yeah, this is exciting, and this movie's getting shot in Australia.
Yeah,
so this is getting shot down in South Australia, so that's pretty exciting.
So the film will be upside down. I get it a lot. But it's good. It's good that I'm noticing actually a lot of tweets that are coming from Australia talking about local governments actually putting more money into the film industry and all that within respective states. So obviously South Australia has actually always been pretty much the first in front when it comes to putting money in entertainment and gaming, really. So
South Australia and Queensland, I think, are the two sort of leaders for our market as far as investing into film and television.
I think they just talk about South Australia on their own there, Brendan. I don't know that anyone throws Queensland in the conversation.
I'll pull up an article then, mate, because there is some big studios up here. Yeah, some big warehouses and production companies.
thought it was just South Australia. But anyway.
Fuck you, Dream. Hope you fail on XCOM tonight. Hope your whole team gets wiped.
Don't. I'm probably gonna
you'll
be there.
You'll be the first one down on the squad there, Brendan. Don't worry. I'll make sure
dead.
it's fucking brutal.
I've made peace that I'm already dead in there.
Mortal Kombat reboot. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't really remember too much of the first Mortal Kombat film. I have seen it fairly recently.
So good.
Yeah,
it was
I
equal
don't know.
parts
Those films,
fantastic and terrible.
Yeah,
those films
that's a
have
good
a
review.
special kind of place in cinematic history, don't they? Where it's kind of like this weird time where it's anything's possible with technology in film, but when you look back on it, you realize how like bad it ages.
Nah, that scorpion fight scene still badass.
In hell and then through the bloody bamboo tree line.
Mm-hmm.
Have they cast this film yet?
No, they confirmed. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was in the Train to Busan? He's cast as Sub-Zero, that lead guy. He's cast as Sub-Zero, but outside of that, they haven't announced anything else. So,
speaking of Mortal Kombat, they actually released the picture for Sindel for the game, and I'm not happy. I just wanted to throw that out there, so not happy.
God damn it, Ed Boon.
Yeah, get it right.
You know what? Who are happy though?
Who?
Mobile game developers, because in Q2 of 2019, 11.2 billion games were downloaded. And this comes via way of Rebecca Valentine at gamesindustry.biz. So according to App Annie's Q2 2019 App Index report, games accounted for 35% of all global downloads for mobile apps last quarter, but accounted for 75% of total customer spend. That includes both Google Play and the App Store. And between the two, Google Play continued to see far more downloads, with game downloads up 265% over the App Store. So mobile gaming, Snap gaming, gaming in general, it is running wild around here. We can't sort of take full responsibility and claim that we are part of this core success. Seeing this jump up to 11.2 billion games in Q2, but I think Snap Gaming, the Hungry Gamers Snap Gaming revolution is certainly at the forefront of this. So, kudos to us. But my goodness, that is a lot of game downloads.
It is a lot of game downloads. I'm wondering how many of those are like, those really shitty ones, like those really, really shitty like puzzle ones. That,
like which ones? Which ones, Ali?
I don't know. What's it?
Those
called?
99-cent games. Or whatever.
Yeah, and like those other kind of cheap ones. You know what? I got an ad for a game that was called like Interior Designer, and it seems like all you did was just click on furniture, and they decided where it went. So I'm like, who's downloading these games? Because there's not much to them.
Maybe the intern. It's intern Interior Designer.
Yeah,
you get to pick the colors, and then the head positions that nice furniture and faux deer skull.
But not to put down mobile games, like I spend probably a good time on Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, like a good amount of time. Like I'm addicted to that shit now. So like my camp is bustling. But I also played that Scribblenauts game on my phone as well.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
And Dr. Mario dropped this week too, and it was straight to the top of the charts.
Yeah, dude.
What was that?
Dr. Mario?
On the phone?
Yeah, straight to the top.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, but we talk about mobile gaming pretty regularly on here, and you can just see it is going from strength to strength to strength, especially with the more power they can put into a smartphone.
I'm glad we helped turn it around.
Yeah.
The Snap Gaming revolution.
Yep. It's all us.
All right, and the last bit of news for this week. Facebook reportedly after Ubisoft IP and other AAA franchises for Oculus exclusives. This also comes via way of Rebecca Valentine at gamesindustry.biz. Though VR's still growing slowly, one criticism is that it still lacks exclusive entries from popular AAA franchises to draw crowds. This may change soon if Facebook gets its way. The information reported that Facebook is currently after both game studio acquisitions for Oculus development as well as IP rights to make VR games in popular franchises. Two IPs that sources say are already signed on for are Assassin's Creed and Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, both from Ubisoft. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg was reportedly involved with the deal, though VP of Special Gaming Initiatives Jason Rubin is in charge of the push for acquisitions and content as a whole. Rubin was promoted in December from his previous role as Oculus Head of Content. And a little closing line, Facebook launched its new untethered Oculus Quest headset at the end of May this year, and in its first 2 weeks, it moved over $5 million in software sales. I think I accounted for a good portion of that, because the games are very expensive for the Quest, so fuck you, Mark Zuckerberg, but also thank you for this fantastic headset. So what do you guys think of this?
I'm terrified about anything that has to do with Facebook anymore. And the fact that they want to do something where you put like a mask over your eyes just terrifies me.
Why? Why would you be so terrified? Ali, it's only Facebook. They're there for you. Ali, they know you better than you know yourself.
According to my Facebook, I'm Nicolas Cage. But anyway, it just terrifies me that they're going to like steal your identity through your eyeballs. Who knows what's possible? I don't want Facebook in my gaming at all. Like,
well, it's I don't know. It's not unavoidable. You don't have to get an Oculus Quest, but I think that they'll be a pretty big player going forward, unless they get split up and have to divest assets, which it doesn't look like that'll ever happen ever. Yeah. What do I think of this? I think this is a good move. It's a pretty fair criticism to level against VR in general. I think that there aren't too many titles that draw you towards it. Most of the games that I've played, although it's been some time, most of them feel like tech demos at best.
Yep.
And I imagine it's because it would be just incredibly challenging to make a standalone VR game that is RPG length, 40 hours, 50 hours, that has a really fun thread that ties the whole thing together, something that makes you want to just keep going back and playing it again and again. It must just take fucking forever. That's really it, and cost a lot of money, no doubt. And who has both of those things? Facebook. Facebook has time, resources, and money. And so, not bad.
Yeah,
pay
outside
for
of
these Ubisoft studios, get it done.
Outside of like Resident Evil 7, Skyrim, and then a couple of other sort of more double A experiences. Yeah, Doom VR. There isn't really
Fallout VR.
There's an appetite for it. As you said, Dream, there is a hunger for those AAA franchises on here, because for the vast majority, it is tech demos. It is quote unquote experiences, walking simulators and sort of that high fidelity virtual reality viewing where you're sitting there and taking a world in as opposed to playing through that world. So I'm hoping we see more of that, because things like Resident Evil 7 prove that it has a place and it can be successful and it can add value to this technology. So I'm hoping we see more of it, because I've purchased a lot of games on VR, whether it be on my PSVR or now my Oculus Quest, and there is quite a chasm between a Resident Evil 7 and Johnny Rando tries to make a horror movie where the graphics are changed, the controls aren't as smooth. You can see the budget's 10 cents to 10 million. Like, it stands out like VR dog balls. And it sucks, because it's an expensive sort of bit of kit to adopt, and then the games, for the most part, aren't as cheap as you'd want them to be. So it is a hell of an investment to try and commit to this virtual reality space as it stands today. And there's just such a leap between the AAA and everything else in between, it feels like. So I'm hoping, as we sort of alluded to, Ali did, with Facebook being the big bad, that is a little bit scary that they own Oculus and all this, and our identities and everything else, and that whole big brother paranoia that comes with Facebook. But I'm hoping, because it is such a big company, they're going to be able to invest and take this technology to that next step.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I definitely believe that like VR deserves the investment, and I'm sure all of us want to experience one specific game in a VR, headset and be completely immersed. I'm not a fan of old mate Zuckerberg and getting his dirty fingers into the gaming.
Hey, Brendan.
Oh.
Hey, Brendan.
Hey, what?
You know what there's a lot of on VR?
Porn?
What?
Have you tried VR porn, Brendan?
I have not yet. Still,
I was right. Have you seen videos of those like examples on like show floors at like anime cons and everything like that, and people are like humping plastic things?
That is fucking what?
Yeah.
What did you just tell me right now, Ali?
Like, it's like people are in convention floors, and they are like literally like laying down on the ground with a VR headset on, and they're humping plastic objects to simulate a body.
Have you seen...
Google it, friends. Google it.
Have you seen Michael Bolton's Sexy Valentine special?
Have I?
No.
I feel like I should have.
There's a great scene in there where, what's his name? He's like in Archer. He's the voice of the guy, the dad in Rick and Morty. I forget his name. But he does a skit in there where he's like doing VR, virtual reality dating. And it ends up with him just sort of like air humping while he's got the VR headset on. It looks like the most pathetic thing ever. That's what I just thought of. Brendan, all right, man, get the scoop. Do some VR porn next week, report back.
I'll see what I can do. It's going to be awkward trying to do this out of view of Rach and
no, it's all right. She won't
suspicion.
Know. She won't
I'll see what I can do.
We won't tell her.
Anyway,
just be you, me, Ali, and the world.
Yeah,
that's it. Nice and sort of closed shop, very secretive. No one's ever going to hear about that. So that has been the news this week, and we'll see if I report back for VR porn experiences next week. If you never hear from me again after that, Rach caught me and castrated me, but I've had a good run. So 32 years, that's a good innings. But is there anything you guys want to say before we close this bad boy down for another week?
Yeah, there is. I want to give a shout out to Dylan Mai, who, so I have a new Instagram, which I'll plug in a sec. But Dylan, followed me straight away and was like, man, love the show. You guys are great. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Just said some really sweet, nice things. And that doesn't, I don't know. That never happens to me all that much. I keep my socials. Historically, I've kept my social medias pretty to myself. I've been pretty quiet on them. And so to have Dylan reach out and just give us that little bit of love was, I don't know, it was really special. It was really sweet. It was a nice way to kick off a Tuesday morning. So thank you. Really appreciate that. And I hope you enjoy it and keep listening.
What about you, Miss Hart?
I was just laughing because what was the first thing you did on your story? Was it just you looking really disheveled and sleeping?
I was hungover.
Yeah, okay.
I was hungover, and I recognized that my hair made it look like I have cat ears. So I was like, this seems like something put on social media.
Khajiit.
Enjoy, people. I just wanted to mention that there's a sign up for Minecraft Earth, which is the AR kind of thing that they've introduced. I think they kind of demoed it
2014 or 15. It was a long time ago. 2015 was when they did that at E3.
Oh, well, and then they showed it again at the Apple event, the recent Apple event, where they showed off all the phones and everything like that. So, just look into it. Minecraft Earth.
Can I piggyback off the back of that really quickly? Minecraft Story Mode is on Netflix.
It's been on there for a while.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I only found that out recently. So that's what Telltale have done now. They just sold everything to Netflix.
Yeah, it's not a bad watch either. We did it. Obviously, it's choose your own adventure style, which is pretty cool, and it plays out pretty well.
Interesting.
I've got to look at that now.
Yeah, but this has been episode 159 of the Hungry Gamers podcast. Be sure to check the podcast feed in a few days' time as well for episode 159.5, fun size episode number 2. But be sure to rate, review, subscribe us on all those podcast hosting platforms. Follow us as a collective at We Are 8-Bit. Check out our YouTube, youtube.com/We Are 8-Bit. Check out our web store, weare8bit.storeenvy.com. And also follow Dream at SalimTD, Miss Ali Hart at Miss Ali Hart, and myself at Brendan 8-Bit. But until next week, 8-Bit Nation, we're coming back at you for episode 160. Much love.
Stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.